We want to look at what we call the polar form of complex number. The idea is very simple, right? Now, first thing first, we are relating what you've learned to this polar form of complex number. And so far, we've only learned the rectangular form of a complex number, right? And from there, we said that given a number, let's say z, is equals to a plus jb. This is a complex number. Why? Because the real part of z is equals to a, and the imaginary part of z is equals to b. So what you are saying in essence is that when you have a number mixed up with real part and imaginary part, which is z in this case, it becomes what? A complex number. Now, looking at what we call polar form of a complex number, first thing first, you need to recall your x-axis, your graph. You know, from your Cartesian coordinate, you have this. This is x, and this is what? Y. So we want to plot this guy, this complex number. You want to plot it on x-axis and y-axis. That's what it means typically. And how do you do that? We use what we call the Argand diagram. The Argand diagram. By Argand diagram, a geometric representation of a complex number in two dimensions. A geometric representation of a complex number in two dimensions. I want to explain Argand diagram. How Argand diagram works under complex number. I said, recall from your Cartesian coordinates, this is your y-axis and this is your what? X-axis. Right? Then we define complex number to be this. Knowing that we have real part of z and real part and imaginary part of z. Now, for this x and y axis, in place of y, it becomes the imaginary part of z. Are you getting me? In place of x, it becomes the real part of z. Meaning, by definition, what is Argand diagram? We said it is a geometric representation of a complex number in two dimensions. So this is the y-axis, this is the two dimension. You know, we have three-dimensional plane, two-dimensional plane. For two-dimensional plane, meaning x and y. For three-dimensional plane, x, y, and z. But now we are saying that Argand diagram, it is the representation of complex number in two-dimensional plane. So we want to represent the real part and the imaginary part on this two-dimensional plane, which is x and y. Now for x takes the real part of z, y take the what? Imaginary part of z. Do you understand what I'm saying? X take the real part, x-axis rather, it takes the real part of z, y take the imaginary part of z. So in place of this x, what do you have? Real part of z. For the y-axis, what do you have? Imaginary part of z. Meaning, given that z is equals to 3 plus 4j, your real part of z for this guy is what? 3. Is that correct? And your imaginary part is what? 4. Now, let's plot this complex number. This is a complex number, agree. Right? Let's plot this complex number under Argand diagram using this idea. And this idea is that for your y-axis, take it as imaginary. For your x-axis, take it as what? The real part of z. Is that understood? Now from here, this is the origin, right? This is the positive side. This is the negative side. This is the positive. This is the negative. Meaning, our real part of z is on the x-axis, right? Will it be in the positive region or negative region? Positive region. So if this is the origin, let's say you have 3 here. Any question? What about imaginary part of z? We already know that imaginary part of z is for the y-axis. So will it be in the positive region or the negative region? Positive region. Why? Because the value is what? 4. So we have, let's say you have your 4 here. So by the time you have something like this is 3, 4. Are you getting me? So you've represented this complex number which is a rectangular form of complex number using what? Argand diagram. Do you understand? Now let's say this is z1, z2, -4 plus 5j, -4 plus 5j. We want to represent z2 using Argand diagram. Same idea, right? Now -5, -4, is it the real part or the imaginary part? Real part, meaning x-axis. We live in the positive region or negative region? Negative region. Let me clean this guy here. So we are saying that we have 4 here, right? We know why we have 4, because from our complex number, the real part is what? -4, and the real part is for the x-axis. So you have 4 here because this is negative side of x. What about 5? What about 5? Positive or negative? Positive. So let's say you have 5 here. So meaning you have this, and this is what? -4, 5. So can you see the definition of Argand diagram? Argand diagram says that it is the representation. Read what you have. It is a geometric representation of a complex number in 2 dimensions. That's correct, in 2 dimensions. And the dimension here are what? The y-axis and the what? X-axis. So why you need to take note is that your complex number, when it comes to the y x-axis, your x-axis is the what? Real part. Your y-axis is the what? Imaginary part. That's what we want to use to explain polar form of a complex number. Now we are familiar with this. Let's say z is equals to a plus jb. This is the rectangular form of complex number. Now we want to write this rectangular form in terms of polar form, meaning your z is equals to r all into brackets cos theta plus j sin theta. Are you getting me? What we know is this guy. Call this one, call this 2. 1 and 2. Okay, let's call this z1 and call this z2. From here, z1 is equivalent to z2, meaning any answer you have for z1 here is still the same thing about z2, but the way we represented it is different. Z1 is the rectangular form, or you say Cartesian form, but z2 is the what? Polar form of complex number, meaning you represented z equals to a plus jb to be what? Z equals to r all into bracket cos theta plus j sin theta. Now let's see.
Sorry. That's a plus j. You use both of them, you still get the same.
Exactly, you still get the same answer. Meaning this number 1 is equivalent to this. What it means is that this question given to you, 3 plus 4j, you can express it in polar form, and the answer will still be the same. By the time we convert, we still get 3 plus 4j. But before then, let's see how we derive this, how this is being derived. From here, your r is called the modulus of z, modulus of z. Y theta is called the argument of z. So let's see how it works. We are still using Argand diagram. So in this case, you have this is your x-axis, and this is your what? Okay, don't let me use x-axis now. This is your real axis of z, and this is the imaginary axis of z. Meaning, I want to represent z equals to a plus jb on this plane. Then it becomes what? You have something like this. This is a, this is b. You know, of course, right angle triangle, you have an angle here, right? Call this angle theta. Then call this place r. Are you getting me? Now my question is, what we did here, we represented z equals to a plus jb in this manner. Is it correct? Like, from here, the real axis of z, where you denoted it, is it correct? This is it. You will know if it is correct or not. This is imaginary part of z. This is the real part of z. Now, your a, is it the positive region of x or the negative region of x? Positive region. So let's say you have a here. Let's say you have your a here. Your b, is it the positive region of y or the negative region of y? Positive. So let's say you have your b here. Are you getting me? Yes. So you can bring out something like this. If this is the origin, say from here to here, call this place a. From here to here, call this place b. And that's what we did here. So we introduce your angle theta, and we say let this place to be what? R. So just that when we are going to case 2. We want to see how case 1 change to case 2. Are you getting me? We want to see how the complex form, how the Cartesian form change to this polar form. From here, you are using SOHCAHTOA. By SOHCAHTOA, sin theta is equals to what? Opposite over hypotenuse. Your cos theta is equals to what? Adjacent over hypotenuse. Your tan theta is equals to opposite over adjacent. Now from here, identify. This place is what? Identify your opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse from what we've drawn here. No. First thing first, let's identify our opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse from this illustration. From what we have here. Opposite is B. This is your opposite. This is adjacent. And this is hypotenuse. Now let's solve for each. Let's solve for sin theta, solve for cos theta, and solve for tan theta. Now solving for sin theta, what do you have? Solving for sin theta. Okay. Solving for sin theta, meaning from this diagram, sin theta is equals to what? Identify your opposite and your hypotenuse. What do you have? B over R. From here, make B the solid of the formula. Cross multiply, meaning that B is equals to what? R sin theta. Now, the next one, cos theta. Cos theta is what? A over R. Cross multiply, meaning A is equals to R cos theta. For the last one, tan theta is what? B over A. Check. Tan theta opposite B, adjacent A. Now from here, what do you have? This is, call this 1, call this 2. Recall, Cartesian form of complex number is what? Z equals to A plus JB. Now what is your A here? R cos theta plus J. What is your B? R sin theta. R is common, meaning Z is equals to R all into bracket cos theta plus J sin theta. Now come back here. Do you get the same answer? Yes. Can you say it works? Meaning you derive the polar form from rectangular form. From rectangular form, you derive the polar form. Now for exponential form, what does this mean? You derive the exponential form from polar form. For the logarithmic form, meaning derive logarithmic from what? Exponential. Are you getting me? So it's work hand in hand. Now what this means is that any value, any complex number given to you, you can express it in polar form. And you are expressing it in polar form if you know the value of R and the value of theta. True or false? Yes. If I know R and I know theta, I can just replicate this, substituting R and theta. Now the question is, how do you get R and how do you get theta? Are you getting me? How do you get r and how do you get theta? To get your r and theta, the illustration we did here, we said from SOHCAHTOA, we've only used sine and cos, right? From theta, let's use theta. This angle that you are seeing here, the angle you are seeing in this polar form, it is this theta that you are going to use to solve for it. You understand what I'm saying? The angle that you are seeing in this polar form, it is this tan theta that you are going to use to solve for it. So if tan theta is equals to b over a, theta is what? Tan inverse of b over a. If tan theta is equals to b over a, meaning that theta is equals to what? Tan inverse of b over a. That is, yes, that's it. If tan theta is equals to b over a, theta is equals to tan inverse of b over a. We've seen how we converted case 1 to case 2. Now, to get the angle, this is the formula for the angle. Meaning theta is equals to tan inverse of b over a. Now, what about the r? How do you get the r? Using this illustration, we call from Pythagoras theorem. What it means is that hypotenuse square is equals to what? Opposite square plus adjacent square. Right? What is your hypotenuse here? Hypotenuse. R. Meaning r square is equals to, your opposite is what? B square plus adjacent is what? A square. Now make this guy solve the formula. Square root both sides. Meaning r is equals to square root of b square plus a square. So what this means is that given a polar form of a complex number, you have two unknowns, right? This first one, which is r, and this second one, which is theta. How do you get your r? Using this formula, square root of b square plus a square. You get the value of r. How do you get theta? Using this formula, theta is equals to tan inverse of b over a. Do you understand? Yes. So that's how it works.